Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Voice of a Niner Faithful. I'm Jason, your host. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are enjoying all the wonderful content I put out. Let's just get right into it. I haven't done one of these in a couple of weeks, off season, doing stuff with the family and all. So let's get right into trying to catch up, shall we? Most of this stuff, I'm sure, as fans, we've all heard, but I'm going to just do a review of some of it, and some of it's actually fairly recent. So let's just get into it. First, coaching changes and all that. The whole Brian Griese tenure and quarterback development. He served as 49ers quarterback coach for 3 years, 2022 through 2024, and he was definitely instrumental in identifying and mentoring Brock Purdy. In fact, Griese gave Purdy the highest pre-draft grade of any quarterback in 2022. He was impressed by the quarterback's accuracy, his leadership, his selflessness, and his faith paid off. I mean, we all have seen what Brock Purdy has done. And Purdy, being originally picked last in the draft in 2022, blossomed under Griese's guidance into a poised starter. There's no question on that. Griese's extensive playing experience, he played 11 NFL seasons, gave him a pretty unique perspective that definitely benefited Purdy's development. However, after this past season, he decided to step away from coaching for family reasons, choosing to be closer to his wife and children in Denver. This surprise departure left a void in the offensive staff, considering Griese's close work with the quarterback room and the success the team had under a healthy Purdy. Well, luckily, the 49ers had an idea of what they could do. They moved quickly to fill Griese's role by promoting Mick Lombardi to the new quarterback's coach. As far as I know, that is no relation to the Lombardi that's out there, nor the Lombardi that actually is a beat writer for the 49ers, David Lombardi. But Lombardi, he's 36, spent last season as a senior offensive assistant in Frisco and previous coordinator as of the Raiders offense. He lacks Griese's playing pedigree, but he does bring coaching experience from the Patriots and the Raiders that can help maintain the continuity. Additionally, assistant quarterbacks coach Clay Kubiak was elevated to the offensive coordinator when we had heard that they were going to do that, and but they still had to do the whole process of trying to doing the interviews and all that. But they finally gave him the official title, though Shanahan is still going to be calling the plays. This internal promotion underscores the 49ers' faith in the offensive system. Kubiak worked under Griese and has a rapport with Purdy, which should be an easy transition. Griese's mentorship will definitely be missed. He was an awesome guy, awesome coach. But the new staff hopes to build on his foundations and keeping Purdy's development on track and the offense in general performing at a high level. And of course, we can't underscore the biggest part of the whole coaching thing and getting Saleh back. After a 4-year stint as the 49ers defensive coordinator position, 17 through 20, and a recent run at the New York Jets head coaching, Saleh is back in Frisco. When he was here the first time, he was really aggressive, swarming defense that helped push the 49ers to a Super Bowl appearance in 2019. That unit in 2019 was number 1 in pass defense, number 2 in total defense. Stars like Bosa and Richard Sherman at the time, with 4 defensive players earning Pro Bowl honors under his watch. It was awesome to watch. If you haven't been a fan that long, you need to watch 2019. That was the whole thing. It was awesome. Once he was let go by the Jets, he continued to impress as a defensive mind because the 2022-2023 season, his Jets, they were among the NFL's elite in first in passing yards allowed, second in total defense, and sixth in run defense over the span. So it's not like, yeah, he was the head coach, but he was still helping the defense with the Jets. He mentored first-team All-Pros like Sauce Gardner and defensive tackle Quentin Williams in New York, proving he has a knack for maximizing talent. Now that he's back in Frisco, though, he's expected to reintroduce his attacking 4-3 scheme and his infectious energy, which, by the way, I personally think the last 2 years is really what's been missing. His return comes on the heels of the 49ers parting ways with former DC Wilkes and Sorensen. I think we're gonna do a whole lot better this coming year, especially with people coming in and Salah's energy. It's going to be awesome. Speaking of people coming in, 49ers off-season moves, bolstering the secondary. This is one of the recent things that happened. They picked up Trey Tomlinson to shore up the secondary. Picked him up off of waivers from the Rams. He's a young guy, 25 years old, and was 6th-round pick by the Rams in 2023. Kind of undersized, 5'9", 177 pounds. But he brings notable college credentials. He won the 2022 Jim Thorpe Award as the nation's top defensive back at TCU and plays with a chip on his shoulder. That's the kind of guy that Saleh likes. In his 2 seasons with the Rams, he appeared in 15 games, mostly on special teams, which we definitely need help there too. And speaking of special teams, we also got a special teams a new coordinator from there too. Anyway, back to Tomlinson here. Recording 5 defensive tackles and 8 special teams tackles. His limited defensive snaps in LA means he's still something of a project. But the 49ers see the upside in his speed and ball skills. For the 49ers, this is definitely a low-risk move to add a young defensive back familiar with the NFC West. Tomlinson's arrival provides competition at the nickel and the depth corner spots, especially with veteran cornerback Charvarius Ward probably moving on. I mean, he hasn't really been out there in the media much, but he's probably not going to be here next year. So, and other corners drawing interest. If Tomlinson sticks on the roster, he can contribute on special teams immediately, and that can't hurt. And develop under DB coach Daniel Bullock's tutelage. His college film showed a feisty cover corner who isn't afraid to tackle despite his size. In San Francisco's defense, he could carve out a role in sub-packages, guarding quick slot receivers. While not a headline-grabbing transaction, claiming Tomlinson addresses a potential need and reflects the front office's ongoing efforts to find those secondary gems, you know. The 49ers have had success with cast-offs before, so hopefully this is another one of them. I think it could be. More off-season things, pass rush reinforcements. Of course, the whole Joey Bosa rumors. And that's one of the more exciting things for 49er fans this offseason is the potential reunion of the both Bosa brothers in red and gold. And I say potential reunion because, well, they're brothers. I mean, it'd be awesome if they're together. I don't think they actually played together, maybe in high school, like one's a senior, one's a freshman, something like that. But in college, they just missed each other. So I think it'd be awesome. But getting back to it, Joey Bosa. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. Chargers released him to save cap space, and automatically reports surfaced linking Joey to the 49ers. According to to insider Tim Kawakami, I'm hopefully saying that correctly, The 49ers and Joey Bosa have had good conversations and are likely moving forward towards a deal. Nothing is finalized about the Bosa brothers. Both Nick and Joey reportedly want to be together, which suggests mutual interest in making this whole thing happen. If the 49ers sign Joey Bosa, it would be a blockbuster addition to the defensive front. Pairing him with his younger brother, Nick Bosa, could give the San Francisco 49ers, one of the most fearsome pass rush duos in the whole league. They haven't played together on the same team since high school. There it is. And the idea of reunification has both sentimental and football appeal. Joey is 29. When healthy, is a dynamic edge defender who has accumulated 72 sacks over 9 NFL seasons. Last year, he had 5 sacks in 14 games for LA, but injuries caused him to miss a significant amount of time. The 49ers would likely structure any deal as a shorter prove-it contract with incentives given Bosa's injury history, and Kawakami hinted it would be a moderate deal with incentive bonuses, notably because Joey was released, not a standard free agent. Signing him would not cost the 49ers any compensatory picks and extra bonus in terms of roster building strategy. Expert analysis of this potential move highlights how Joey's presence could elevate the defense. San Francisco's pass rush was overly reliant on Nick Bosa. Adding his brother would force offenses to pick their position in pass protection. Additionally, Saleh values his a strong four-man rush, and he coached Joey's younger brother to elite status. One can imagine Saleh salivating at the deployment of 2 Bosas on the edges. Historically, edge elite pass rushing pairs. Yes, I am reading some of this. Some of it I'm going just scanning and wording it my own way, but it helps the whole process. Anyway, these elite pass rushing pairs have propelled defenses to championship level. While Joey might not be in his prime, even 80% of that Pro Bowl caliber alongside Nick could regenerate, recreate, however you want to say it, the dominant front the 49ers had in 2019. Now, here's where I'm going to spitball a little bit, not reading off what's on my screen. I think with Joey there, a lot of people are saying, oh, he's on the downside and all that. Still, even a lighter Joey Bosa, a older Joey Bosa, is going to draw people. So let's say offenses are so eyed up on Nick Bosa, they aren't really thinking about Joey Bosa, and vice versa. It's a win-win. So I think this is a good thing. Speaking of the D-line, Jonathan Allen is on the radar for the 49ers, former Washington Commanders defensive tackle and 2-time Pro Bowler, both in 2021 and 2022, so it's fairly recent. He was released after failing to find a trade partner, largely due to his hefty contract. The 49ers are actually linked to Allen during the season. He reportedly came up in the Deebo Samuel trade talks, but that didn't happen, so we all know what happened with that, and I'll mention it later. But he's a free agent, and of course the 49ers are interested, no surprise there. He would definitely fill a significant need in the interior. Last season, the Niners defense tackle rotation was pretty thin due to injuries and departures, and Hargrave missed most of 2024, and longtime stalwart Eric Armstead left in free agency, and they had to lean on Malik Collins and Jordan Elliott as starters, and they were just underwhelming. The 49ers finished 18th in run defense and gave up 24 rushing TDs, which really sucks, to be honest. Clearly, the interior defense was a weak spot. So Jonathan Allen could definitely help fix that. He only played 8 games last season due to a pectoral injury. But when healthy, he's a disruptive force. He had 35 career sacks and is equally capable of clogging up run lanes or collapsing the pocket from his defensive tackle spot. Importantly, he's familiar with a similar scheme from Washington and possesses the kind of versatility, yes, versatility, Saleh covets in linemen. So I think, again, if we picked him up, it definitely would help us. It can't hurt us. And speaking of Malik Collins, he's on his way out. According to NFL Network's Mike Garafolo, the team is releasing the 29-year-old Collins, which clears his $10 million 2025 salary from the books as they reshuffle the D-line. So he had decent numbers, but yeah, it's not going to be a major miss. The decision itself isn't quite finalized yet. Matt Miyako reported 49ers might explore a last-minute trade of Collins before cutting him, so you never know. You might hear that he got traded instead of cut, but one way or the other, he's not going to be on the team. Now, moving over a little bit to wide receiver market and trades. This is fairly recent. Davante Adams joining the Rams. I don't think he's going to be as big of an impact as everyone might think. I think he's going to have difficulty sharing the spotlight, as it were, with Puka Nacua. That's just me personally. And he's going to have to get some sort of rapport with Stafford. Now that Stafford is staying there, and he signed a big deal too. So, yeah, I don't see this really helping a lot for the Rams. I think if Davante Adams stays there for longer than just a year, I think then once they start getting their rhythm, then it might be an issue. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything major happening from this next year. DK Metcalf also got traded, no longer a Seahawk, but he went to the AFC to the Steelers. So the Steelers got their big person, so we don't have to worry about trying those rumors that Ayuk getting traded over there. I know there's the Ayuk rumors about him going to the Patriots. But we'll see about that. There is an escape clause, as it were. I like that term, the escape clause. I got that from, shout out David Lombardi, beat writer for the Niners. You should watch his stuff if you haven't already. He goes pretty in-depth into the contract stuff. And yes, Ayuk does have an escape. There's an escape clause there, so it wouldn't really hurt us a whole lot if we did trade him, but I don't think we are. But anyway, yeah, no more DK Metcalf. I know that that doesn't hurt our feelings at all. The whole thing with Seattle, I don't know what the hell is going on over there. They truly must be on a revamp of the whole team. They got rid of Geno Smith recently too, and yeah, it's really weird what's happening over there. But that's a plus for the Niners. So we're keeping a decent percentage of our offensive players, so it should be a decent wins over the Seahawks this next season. So, and of course the whole Deebo Samuel trade going to Washington. We've all heard about that. There is no bad blood. So whatever you're thinking, I'm sure you've heard about his letter that he's put out to the fans of the 49ers. There's no bad blood there. He still likes Lynch and Shanahan, and they both like him. And as fans, as a Deebo Samuel fan, I hope he does great. I do. Jaden Daniels as his quarterback. I can only hope for Deebo Samuel's sake that Jaden Daniels doesn't fall the way that RG3 did back then. He had that great rookie season and then blah. So let's hope for Jaden Daniels' sake that doesn't happen, and for Deebo Samuel's sake that doesn't happen. I think it's a good move for both. We're getting a 5th round pick, which brings us up to 11 picks in the draft. And there's just, there's the whole dead space cap hit. It's not as bad as it sounds. It was going to happen one way or the other, whether it got stretched out by 2 years or what happened as it is with just happening right away. The money was going to go. It was going to hit. No question. So, but it can be dealt with. We're okay. The 49ers as an organization are okay. It'll work out. It's okay. Again, I'm going to push a little David Lombardi. Go watch some of his stuff. He goes into all of this a lot more. He's really good with the contract stuff and draft capital, draft hits, dead money hits. Watch him for what he's last couple of weeks about all of this. It's amazing what that guy can dig up and go over and make explainable. Well, we still have Ayuk. We still have Juwan Jennings. We still have Ricky Pearsall. We still have quite a few others. We're still keeping McCaffrey. We're still keeping George Kittle. We're going to be fine. It's all good. Speaking of the offense, more going into Brock Purdy's contract negotiations. There was somebody had reported this. They gave him a lowball $45 million offer, which ended up being a completely false narrative. That never happened. They're still just in the beginning phases of this whole process. We did learn recently, speaking of quarterbacks, which might affect Brock Purdy's extension. Josh Allen agreed to a 6-year, $330 million extension with a record $250 million in guaranteed money. While the $55 million average per year in Allen's deal doesn't top the league, it ties him around third. It's the guarantees that make waves. $250 million guaranteed figure blew past the previous high. Dak Prescott's was $231 million guaranteed, and has every agent in the league taking note. Purdy and his representatives, I'm sure, are using these benchmarks when they're talking to Frisco. Which is, personally, I think that Frisco needs to get this done sooner rather than later, because other deals are going to happen. You know it. 49ers are unlikely to offer Purdy a contract on par with Josh Allen's. Allen's is a former MVP caliber player with a long track record, but it establishes the high end of the market. The target for Purdy might be something just below that top tier. To put into perspective, Allen's deal, the 10th highest paid quarterback, around $46 million per year. Now that with Allen's $55 million entering the equation, the top 10 threshold has jumped. Purdy would need roughly $51 million per year to crack the top 10 for quarterback salaries, about equal to what Jalen Hurts makes. Given Purdy's accomplishments, though, NFC title game 2022, another playoff run in 2023, his poised performances. Yeah, last year was rough. A lot of things contributed to that. And I'll just do a minor tangent here. Some of those things people aren't considering. And that's two of his teammates lost their kids. Each lost a child. Not only does that affect how that player feels and plays and reacts, this is a team sport. The whole team was affected by that, and you can't deny that. So we have injuries. That's the biggest one. The injuries, we have the mental aspect of what their teammates had go through, and they're trying to be supportive to them, and how bad just the backups were playing for people that they were in for the injured people. It was just a rough season all around. You can't blame it on just, our quarterback, Brock Purdy. So with all that said, you got to keep some of that in mind when you're going through these negotiations and such. So I'm sure the 49ers are considering that as well. But given Purdy's accomplishments, like I said, his camp could reasonably aim for the 55 million range. Comparable young quarterbacks like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert have deals in the low 500 million, 50 million per year. 49ers might counter that Purdy's sample size is smaller, and that he benefited from strong roster. I don't honestly think they're going to play that game. I think Purdy is going to stick around the 55 mil, and that would be fine. The cap space and contract strategy for the 49ers, well, we all know money doesn't grow on trees, even for the quarterback position. The 49ers have to fit Purdy's new deal into the salary cap puzzle, and they've been mindful of this for some time. As of the start of free agency, San Francisco had roughly $34.4 million in cap space available. That number is fluid and will change with signings, likely possibly with Joey or other free agents, and releases like Malik Collins. And of course, when they do the re-sign Kittle, that'll lower the cap. So one of the common strategies is to front load or back load certain parts of the contract. 49ers could give Purdy a hefty signing bonus, which prorates over the life of the deal for cap purposes to get him significant cash up front while keeping the first year cap pretty low. This was done with Garoppolo and Kittle in the past. For example, if Purdy signs a $250 million deal with $50 million signing bonus, that bonus might count as $10 million per year over 5 years. His 2025 base salary could be moderate, say 5 to 10 mil, making his initial cap hit perhaps around 20 mil. Very manageable, and not much more than that would count again on the fifth year option or franchise tag. The bigger cap hits would come 2026 through 2028 when the cap itself is higher. Remember that. Another David Lombardi thing. We're riding the wave. Every year the cap just goes up. So this can work out. The 49ers have some levers to create more cap room. They could restructure deals, extend Trent Williams, to spread out his cap hit if he plans playing beyond next year, or converting part of Fred Warner's salary to bonus. They've already shed some salary by releasing Collins and trading Debo. There's also the looming decision with Hufanga. They may or may not re-sign him. I'm guessing that they won't, but you never know. So lots of complex things in the background that we as fans, I get it. I'm not gonna lie, it's over my head, completely over my head. So I trust that they're doing the right things. Hopefully they are. One thing in Purdy's favor, though, he's on a rookie deal making under $1 million a year. So the 49ers have a luxury on a cheap quarterback, or had. They want to maximize that window in 2025, his last cheap year, as much as possible. It wouldn't be surprising the extension is agreed upon to in principle, but actually kicks in 2026. This is what the Chiefs did with Mahomes. Purdy might want some of that security sooner, meaning a new deal might raise his cap modestly, but they can pull it off. Speaking of other 49ers and their injuries, which brings me to injuries, Trent Williams. Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, and Brandon Ayuk all suffered major injuries that ended their seasons way too early. John Lynch, he provided updates on each of those from the NFL Combine, offering optimism for their recoveries. How these players will bounce back, though, will greatly influence the team as they move forward. Trent Williams missed the final 7 games due to left ankle injury. There was even outside speculation on whether the 36-year-old would consider retirement, but no, Lynch already quelled those fears, stating Trent's playing and he's ready to play. He's entering his 15th season, 14th playing due to 1 year sat out, and remains one of the best offensive linemen in football when he's healthy. And now that he is healthy, that's awesome. The expectation is that Williams will be fully cleared by training camp in July. Over the offseason, he's rehabbed his ankle, focused on conditioning, get back into shape. I think this is awesome news. Historically, older linemen, though, they've come back from ankle injuries pretty successfully. Andrew Whitworth had a late career injury, but still played at a high level up to the age of 40. So the key is Trent's own commitment and pain management. By all accounts, he's determined. Lynch's comments about rarefied air that Trent lives in, and that Williams doesn't want to play unless it's a high level and shows the standard that Trent himself holds himself to. So we can expect to see number 71 protecting Purdy's blind side again. So I don't think there's an issue there. It's also allowing the younger linemen like Jalen Moore, Colton McKivitz to remain in appropriate backup roles rather than being overmatched as starters. Now, going on to Christian McCaffrey, he's definitely eager for a fresh start. Frustrating 2024 campaign, the whole Achilles tendonitis, and then he comes back and then hurts something else. The knee injury, reportedly an MCL sprain. So all of that, the good news is McCaffrey is doing great in his rehab, per Lynch. Lynch noted Christian was very frustrated at how last year went. Understandable. I think all of us fans were frustrated with how last year went. Because it's understandable, and McCaffrey prides himself on being available and productive, and he wasn't. So he's super frustrated, I can imagine. But it looks like he should be back by around OTAs or training camp. It should be good. Maybe a limited capacity during that time. Let him ramp up a bit. But by beginning of the season, he's 100% going. And that is definitely one of the most important pieces McCaffrey is to the 49ers offense. He's just way too explosive. He way too good of a player. Purdy's outlet when he's getting hammered, but he's also just so much more. He can do everything. You call him a running back, but he can catch, he can run, he can block. It's awesome. So it's going to be awesome to see him back fully healthy. Brandon Ayuk, recovering from the major knee injury, and that's the most serious injury situation. So tearing his ACL, MCL, and other ligaments is what really happened. So he's had the surgery. The timeline for those kind of things is about 9 to 12 months, sometimes longer, to regain full explosiveness. Given the injury occurred in early October, this could end up being a major storyline to see if he even starts the regular season. John Lynch, he provided an update indicating Ayuk is doing well in rehab. There are checkpoints, big markers, as Lynch said, in the rehab, like, for example, getting out of the brace, starting to run critical drills. there's a test that he's going through, I think, in about a week, maybe a little less, maybe this coming week, for the person who did his surgery. And if that test goes well, he could make it back by the beginning of the season. We'll see. Hopefully it will. I don't think they should rush him back, though. If it wouldn't be surprising if he opened up training camp on the the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list, and maybe even start the season there, which would sideline him at least for the first 4 games. That might not be a bad thing. They want to ensure his knee stability and that he's confident cutting routes. That's a big thing. So during any absence, Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall will need to step up as the top receivers. And maybe if they pick up anybody in free agency, they're going to lean on the tight end, George Kittle, of course. And with McCaffrey being back, that's another plus. So I think it's gonna work out. 49ers defensive struggles. We all know about what happened with that. So if they get Joey Bosa, they pick up some more defensive tackles, it could help, but they definitely need to shore up that bit. Saleh schemes really well, but he's inheriting an underperforming unit, and he's got a lot of work to do. Free agency is going to be they're going to really have to do some magic in free agency and draft. The 49ers are actively exploring additional additions to patch up the holes. We've already discussed potential acquisitions like Jonathan Allen and Joey Bosa. Both would directly address the front seven issues. Allen in particular would beef up the interior run defense significantly. And Bosa would not only rush the passer, but is also a solid run defender as well. Beyond those big names, other areas of need is linebacker depth, with Dre Greenlaw likely departing in free agency, or at least uncertain to return. I really hope they keep him somehow, some way, but it's not looking good at the moment. They could use some linebackers. One target was Kansas City star linebacker Nick Bolton, who just agreed to an extension, so he's off the market now. The team might consider cheaper veteran linebackers or mid-round draft picks to compensate with Oren Burks and Flanagan Fowles for their linebacker 2 spots next to Fred Warner. We'll see. In the secondary, if Hufanga leaves, safety becomes a need, obviously. Malik Mustafa did awesome last year, but the depth is still thin. A name to watch in free agency might be someone like Julian Blackman, or Terrell Edmonds, solid safeties who won't break the bank. However, the draft might be where they addressed it. Draft prospects that can help the defense were a major topic around the combine. With the 11th overall pick, the 49ers are in prime position to snag a defensive blue chipper, a rare first-round pick for them after not having one in 2023 or 2024. Some prospects linked to Frisco are Mason Graham, out of Detroit, out of Michigan, defensive tackle. Nick Emenwari, safety out of South Carolina. Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. In the later rounds, they could try to picking up a day 3 pick of Danny Stutzman, a linebacker out of Oklahoma. Tez Johnson, wide receiver out of Oregon. Dante Thornton, wide receiver out of Tennessee. Offensive line, Charles Grant, out of William and Mary, somewhere around 3 and 4. Round 4 or 5, maybe Malaki Moore, defensive back at Alabama. Those are just some names. Take a look at them. I took a look at some of these guys, some of their highlights. Not too shabby. I'm not big. I don't know about the wide receivers. I understand we need them, but I think we're going to pick. I have a feeling we're picking somebody up in free agency for that, but you never know. So we're obviously in free agency not going to get Max Crosby or Myles Garrett. Both have signed with their teams, so we can put them guys on the shelf. It was a nice thought, but it was never going to happen for either one because they were just way too expensive. So, again, a lot of this is going to deal with the draft that's coming up. And as I mentioned, Mason Graham is big. Nick Emenwari, Mike Green. So I think that's where we're going to pick up a lot of the people we need. So with all of that said, the 2025 draft is a pivotal moment for the 49ers to inject youthful talent into a roster that still has many stars in their prime. Yes, we still do. We have them. They're there. Mason Graham or Mike Green could be immediate contributors. They can be popped right into the defense. On day 3, look for Frisco to do what they do best, find those sleepers. And we all know how good they are right around the 5th round. So I think we can pull off a really good season, not just because we're keeping a decent amount of our people. Yes, it doesn't seem that way but if you really think about it, we're keeping a decent amount. Yes, some are going, but we are keeping a decent amount. That mixed with our good coaching, and this is something that a lot of people are sleeping on at the moment. I don't understand why I haven't heard a whole lot about it. We have a really super easy schedule. So I think we are going to do monster things this year. And then when we get to the playoffs, and I fully predict we're going to make it to the playoffs, we are going to be dominant. And this could be our chance to get that 6th Lombardi trophy. We can do it. And it's going to define, I think this season could define the Shanahan-Lynch era. With that said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Have a good one, faithful.